I always thought my family was, well, normal, maybe a little boring, even. Just me and my mom against the world. She was my rock, my best friend, my everything. We lived in a small, quiet town, and our life was a simple, predictable rhythm. School, homework, dinner together, and stories before bed when I was younger. As I got older, it became late night talks about my dreams, my crush, my fears. She was the one person I could tell anything to, or so I thought. The story of my dad was always a bit fuzzy. Mom would just say he was a good man who had to leave when I was a baby. She never went into detail, and I learned not to press. Her sadness was a quiet, heavy blanket that would fall over the room whenever his name came up. So I stopped asking. It was enough that I had her. We didn't need anyone else. The first crack in my perfect little world appeared on my 18th birthday. Mom gave me a beautiful, antique locket. It was silver, with intricate floral engravings. She told me it was her mother's, passed down through generations. I loved it instantly. Later that day, I was looking at it, trying to figure out how to open the tiny clasp. When I finally got it, I expected to see a space for a photo. Instead, there was already one inside. It was a faded picture of a young woman I didn't recognize holding a baby. The woman looked a lot like my mom, but younger. The baby wasn't me. When I showed it to her, a strange look crossed her face. A flicker of something I'd never seen before panic. She quickly brushed it off, saying it was just a distant cousin she'd forgotten about. Her hand trembled slightly as she took the locket from me, snapping it shut. She said the clasp was loose and she'd get it fixed. I never saw it again. The incident was weird, but I eventually pushed it to the back of my mind. It was just an old photo, right? A few years later, I went off to college in a city a few hours away. It was my first time living away from my mom, and we talked on the phone every single day. She always wanted to know every detail of my life. What classes I was taking, who my friends were, what I had for lunch. Looking back, it felt less like curiosity and more like monitoring. The real discovery happened during my junior year. I came home for spring break, planning to surprise her. I let myself in with my old key, dropping my bags in the hallway and calling out, "Mom, I'm home." Silence. That was odd. Her car was in the driveway. I walked through the quiet house, a strange sense of unease creeping over me. I checked her bedroom, the kitchen, the living room, nothing. Then I noticed the door to the attic was slightly ajar. We never went up there. Mom always said it was full of dust and spiders and old junk. Curiosity got the better of me. I pushed the door open and climbed the creaky wooden stairs. The air was thick with the smell of old paper and cedar. Boxes were stacked everywhere, covered in a thin layer of dust. One box in the corner, however, looked different. It was a heavy-duty plastic container, clean, with no dust on it at all. It was sealed shut with latches. My heart started pounding. This wasn't junk. This was something she accessed regularly. My hands were shaking as I undid the latches and lifted the lid. Inside, it wasn't old clothes or forgotten toys. It was a life, a whole other life. There were photo albums, stacks of letters tied with ribbon, and official-looking documents. I picked up the top photo album. The cover was blue leather, with the words "Our Family" embossed in gold. I opened it. The first page had a picture of my mom, radiant and smiling, on her wedding day. She was standing next to a handsome man with kind eyes. Neither of them looked sad. They looked blissfully happy. The date on the photo was just 2 years before I was born. I flipped the page. More pictures. My mom and this man holding a newborn baby boy. Then pictures of that little boy's first birthday, his first steps, his first day of school. His name was Daniel. I saw him grow up through the pages of the album. There were pictures of him playing soccer, a family vacation to the beach, Christmases with a tree piled high with presents. In every photo, my mom was there, smiling a genuine, carefree smile I had never seen in person. She was a different person in these pictures, lighter, happier. Then I saw the documents. A marriage certificate, a birth certificate for Daniel, and then a death certificate for Daniel. He had died in a car accident when he was 9 years old. Another document followed, divorce papers, dated 6 months after Daniel's death. My mind was reeling. I couldn't breathe. It felt like the floor had dropped out from under me. This whole other family, a husband, a son who died. A life my mom had completely erased. I was born a year after the divorce. My entire existence suddenly felt like a reaction, a replacement, maybe. Was I just a second chance? A way for her to start over and pretend that first life never happened? I sat there on the attic floor for what felt like hours, surrounded by the ghosts of a family I never knew existed. My mom wasn't just my mom. She was a widow of a child. A divorcee, a woman who had built a brand new life on the ashes of an old one, and she had deliberately, meticulously hidden it all from me. I heard the front door open downstairs and her voice calling my name, confused. I didn't answer. I just sat there, clutching a photo of a smiling little boy I should have known as my brother. The secret wasn't just that she had another family. The secret was the grief, the trauma, the entire person she was before me. And the most painful part was realizing that I, her daughter, was not part of that world. I was part of the cover-up. When she found me in the attic, the look on her face wasn't anger. It was utter devastation. The walls she had spent nearly 2 decades building had just come crashing down. We didn't yell, we just cried. That day, she finally told me everything. About her first love, about the joy of having Daniel, and about the unbearable darkness that consumed her when he was taken from them. The grief shattered their marriage. She couldn't stay in that house, in that town, surrounded by memories. So she ran, she moved, changed her name, and started over. Then she had me. She said she didn't tell me because she wanted to protect me from her sadness. She wanted my childhood to be happy, untainted by a tragedy that wasn't mine to carry. She thought she was giving me a gift by giving me a normal life. But in trying to protect me, she'd built a wall between us. I had spent my whole life loving a carefully edited version of my mother. It's been a few months since that day. Our relationship is different. It's harder, but it's also more real. We're learning to navigate this new truth together. I'm getting to know my mother all over again, not just as my mom, but as a woman who has endured an imaginable loss. And I'm getting to know the brother I never had through her stories. His name is Daniel, and now he's a part of my story, too. This journey has been incredibly painful, and honestly, we're still figuring things out. Secrets, even ones kept with good intentions, can leave deep scars. If you're struggling with a family secret or feel overwhelmed by something you've discovered, please know that talking about it can help. There are resources and people who can support you. You don't have to carry it alone. Thank you for listening to my story. Please subscribe if you'd like to follow my journey. I'll see you in the next one.